Yes, guys, welcome to Full Time Devils. I am Adam Mckola outside Old Trafford, where I feel like I've taken an absolute battering, but Manchester United have taken an absolute battering against Manchester City. 3-1 today, and it could have been a whole lot worse. Just in the first half, it could have been 4-5-0, and I feared the worst going into the second half. There was a little bit of a reaction from Manchester United, but overall, it wasn't enough. It wasn't good enough. It was way too easy for Manchester City today. And it was like testimonial stuff from them in there at Old Trafford. And it was a real embarrassing one. I remember feeling like this when Manchester United played City under Moyes at Old Trafford, and we lost 3-0. And they absolutely played us off the park. And it was around the time when David Moyes was criticised for saying we aspire to be like Manchester City. But if you would have told me 6-7 years on, we'd still be in the same position, still be getting outplayed by them, I would have said no chance. And that shows you the ineptness that we've had running throughout the club, whether it's in the playing department, in the managerial department over the years, or most definitely in the boardroom level and the ownership level. There hasn't been enough responsibility. But let me bring it back to the 90 minutes that were there today, because they frankly weren't good enough, and they should never be that bad, especially in a Manchester derby. I've seen us go up against Manchester City sides over the year that was so poor, but they played their socks off because it was a derby. We know Manchester City are better than us at the moment. We know their team is better than ours at the moment. But you have to have certain levels of commitment, certain levels of enthusiasm for the game, passion, chucking yourself into challenges, and we just didn't have that. We were so concerned about City and their tactical fouls that we forgot to put a challenge in. Well, who are we? Are we going to let them come here and have the ball all they want? Put a foul in, break something up, make them angry, show us that you care, put a challenge in, get the crowd going again, because today for the first 10 minutes, the crowd were up for it. The crowd really were up for it for the first 10 minutes, and so were the players. It looked like we could get something out of the game when we were picking the ball up back off City and breaking to them. But then City fell into their comfortable possession. They passed us to death. It was a death by 1,000 passes, and it was pop, 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 pop. They were playing us all over the park. Bernardo Silva's goal to make it 1-0 was out of this world. But then the goals for 2-0 and 3-0 were all down to Manchester United. You look at Victor Lindelof for the second goal, allowing Riyad Mahrez to get through. You look at the third goal, which was an own goal by Andreas Pereira. And you could say maybe he should be sorting out his feet and getting on his toes so he can clear that. But once Kevin De Bruyne absolutely sat Phil Jones down, who had a nightmare of a game today, it was always going to be a goal for Manchester City. And then you look at it, it could have been 4, it could have been 5. They were throwing away opportunities at times. Raheem Sterling looked really relaxed in front of goal, and it was like it was way too easy for them. It was testimonial stuff. And Manchester United never, ever got going. The only players that looked like they were playing for us today were Brandon Williams. Fred was poor. But hear me out, he was the only one that he would lose the ball and still get up and be like, lads, come on, let's get something going. Andreas and Jesse Lingard around him were abysmal today. Abysmal at the back. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, defensively, he's always going to be good. Going forward, some of his passing wasn't quite there. Lindelof, not good enough at the back. Phil Jones, how many times have we thought, Phil Jones, this is the end of him? And somehow he's still here playing for Manchester United. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And at right back, like I said, Brandon Williams, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, they're not the issues. I thought Brandon Williams' levels of commitment, his throwing a challenge in, even his willingness to get forward, pass the ball, move forward, get beyond the man, it was there today. And the fact that our most senior players, David De Gea, poor, Phil Jones, poor, Jesse Lingard, poor, our most senior players aren't performing, and it's our youngsters that have hardly played in these first team Manchester derbies in their life that have to show them what it's all about. It's really head scratching for me. And I understand us not being good enough. I understand us having a thin squad, but I expect certain levels of commitment, enthusiasm, willingness, get the crowd on their feet, let's get going. And we didn't do that at all. We didn't get at City. And this is a City side that they played today like the old City that we know. But this is a City side that we know if we get at them, there's frailties there. And we didn't test their goalkeeper, Bravo, until about 70th minute when Rashford took a flaming shot, it stung his palms and he just spilled it wide. We never ever tested him, and we know he's not that great as a goalkeeper. And it was just way too easy for Manchester City today. Way too easy. Phil Jones. I think his most frequent pass was to David De Gea, and it was every time he'd get the ball, do this, turn around and go that way. Every time, head down, go that way, go back. And Manchester City, after they went 3-0 up, it was simply a case of, we're going to give it to your defenders. We know they can't handle the ball. We know they're not comfortable in possession. We know they're going to panic, and we're going to work off that and cause something to happen. And we weren't doing that at the other end. We weren't doing it at all. Angel Gomez came on, which was good to see. It was good to see him come on, and there was little glimpses of him there. Mason Greenwood showed little glimpses. He got the assist for Marcus Rashford's goal as well in the second half. Marcus Rashford did score, and on his first day as Manchester United captain, he didn't have a great performance, but he got another goal in his 17th goal of the campaign. But like I said, overall not good enough for Manchester United. Even Nemanja Matic came in and improved things in the second half, which showed you how bad the likes of Pereira and Jesse Lingard were. And it was a painful one. It was an absolutely painful one there today. And you expect certain things from Manchester United in derbies, even if you don't get the result. And we didn't do that today. And at half-time, Not 19 Forever came on the PA system. You might remember that song. It's by the Cortinas, and it was ringing around Old Trafford in 2012-13 when we won our 20th league title. And it was funny that the club played that song today, because there's a line in that song that says, "It's not 19 forever, pull yourself together." And I've got to say, we might be on 20 forever if we don't pull ourselves together. And there has to be a message to the board in either, if you want to stick with this manager, you need to back him. But secondly, look at where we are. After 6 years from getting dicked here 3-0 by Manchester City under David Moyes, we are no further forward as a club. We haven't made any progression. Now look, we all know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer may be out of his depth. We all know that. But ultimately, the responsibility of that comes down to the board, comes down to Ed Woodward. And those guys have mismanaged Manchester United into this situation for so long. And if they don't get Ole some players, because they're not going to sack him, if they don't get Ole some players in this January transfer window, the season's only going to get worse as well. And it's a dreadful place to be in. Look, I don't expect Manchester United to win every game with this squad that we have. And I hate the overreaction every time there's a bad result or a bad performance. But that isn't good enough. And something needs to change, and that has to be a ringing message to the board, to Ed Woodward. We had Manchester City and their fans coming to Old Trafford and taking the absolute piss today. Absolute piss. And that's not on. Guys, it's a painful one here at Old Trafford. The tie felt like it was over in the first half. I'm kind of just glad that we managed to win the second half, and that shows you how bad it really was. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure you're liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing. And we'll have plenty more fan reaction coming your way. I've been Adam Mckola. I'm out of here.